Management of Waaree Energy is waiting by. Mr. Amit Paithankar, the CEO at the company, is with us. Amit, hi, good to be speaking with you. Well, you have made a couple of announcements regarding the recent order wins, but overall, how's been the momentum so far? Are things looking better at the domestic side versus the international side? Give us a bit more color.
Oh, thank you very much, first of all, for having me on your show. We are actually very buoyant, whether it is in India or in US, which are the two important markets for us. India is, of course, extremely buoyant. There's a substantial amount of demand pipeline that we are seeing. It is reflecting in our order book. The two announcements that we made are reflective of the fact that we are winning orders on a very consistent basis, and that will continue as we see a fairly robust pipeline. As far as US is concerned, the story is actually very similar. Again, a very, very strong pipeline there as well, and healthy booking trends in that market as well.
But overall, if I look at your order book right now, almost 72% comes from international, while the rest is domestic. Do you anticipate this kind of split to continue, or is it expected to tilt a bit more towards domestic? What's been the expectation with respect to how the order book mix is going to change going forward?
So it will keep varying over a period of time. We have been, for the last couple of years, more weighted towards US. And like you rightly said, it's more tilted at this stage towards US, but the domestic market is also picking up quite a lot. And so therefore, we do anticipate on the sales side a more tilt towards India as we move forward. But from an order book perspective, I would say the weight in US would still be in the region of 50 to 60% on long-term basis.
I wanted to talk about some numbers as well, from that 80 crore PAT in FY22 to now 1,275 crores in FY24. The growth, of course, has been exponential for you. Now, with the additional capacities coming up, what kind of sustainable revenue and PAT rate do you see going forward?
So I would not pin a number on that. I will tell you about, because it's a function of several parameters going forward, and I would not want to put any forward-looking statements at this stage. But the important part is, like you rightly stated, the two important elements. One element is our cell line is going to go online in a systematic manner from now to the end of financial year. And so that most of the cells will actually be used for internal consumption, and that will increase our profitability for that particular segment of business quite substantially. And as far as other capacity additions are concerned, we are having a 6 gigawatts of wafer cells and ingots and module capacity, which is coming up, and that will add to the capacity as well. There is an additional capacity of 1.6 gigawatts that is going to go online in the United States in a place called Brookshire fairly soon. So all of that capacity addition is actually going to have a healthy impact on the top line as well as on the bottom line.
1,000 to 2,500 crore rupees PAT by FY26-27. Is that a fair assumption?
You're trying to get a number out of me.
Okay,
what I would say is that directionally the PAT will keep continuing to improve.
We'll take that the PAT is going to improve, not getting a number out of you, but we had to try our luck. But you recently announced your foray into the green hydrogen and the battery storage bit as well. Any more clarity around that? What could be the investment value? When does it come online? What's the size you're looking at?
So we are constantly looking at avenues of growth in many of these adjacent spaces. Batteries is going to be an extremely important component of the way in which you deliver 24/7 renewable power. And therefore, we are foraying into that. This is initial foray at this stage. So based on some of the pilot activities that we will go ahead and do fairly soon here, we will then decide on the overall direction. I would say in the next quarter, as our plans freeze up better, we would be in a position to tell you exactly what the thought process is. But at this point in time, we are talking about internally, what is the addressable market, what should be the size of our manufacturing capacity, what kind of technologies are required, what kind of collaborations are required. All of that basic spade work is going on as we speak. And I would say we'll be in a good position to talk a little bit about that in a quarter's time.
Okay, we'll touch base with you, after a quarter to understand more on that. But just wanted to get a better sense as far as how the entire module industry is placed right now, because the entire kind of supply glut situation happening and the dumping happening from China had meant that the prices of modules had crashed quite drastically. Is there a moderation there as far as prices is concerned? And back home as well, pretty much everyone from large conglomerates to small MSMEs are coming up with these solar manufacturing capacities, looking at the opportunity side. Is there a bit of a scare of a supply glut happening in the domestic market at some point of time?
Great question. We have to look at it from the perspective of the increase in the demand vis-a-vis the increase in the supply, right? And when we put both of these two parts of the puzzle together, you'll actually realize that we are not staring at a kind of a massive supply glut that we are purporting to see in some period of time. And let me deconstruct that in numbers, and I'll give you some numbers in this case, right? So India has got a goal of hitting 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. Now, that in itself does not include the demand that is going to come out of increased infrastructure around data centers, around hydrogen. And so if you add that, very, very conservatively, we are talking about 600 gigawatts. Very conservatively. It's actually going to be more than that. And so if you translate that to per year requirement of solar, from now, which will be probably around maybe, hovering around somewhere around 25, 30 gigawatts, it will go to somewhere around maybe towards the, as we approach 2030, it will go to anywhere in the region of 60 to 65 gigawatts per year. Now, this, mind you, is an AC demand, and all the solar manufacturers, including us, quote a capacity which is in DC. And so there's already a 1.3, 1.4 times difference between the two. And so, so you add all the capacity that is coming up, and then juxtapose it with the demand, you will find that it is actually not very badly skewed. And most of the manufacturers who are actually coming up and setting up their factories, they don't want to sell it only to India. A portion of it will be to India, but the portion of it will go to US, will go to other markets as well. So all of that taken together, I would say the demand is strong and the supply is not going to create a glut kind of a situation, I would say, in the next at least 3 to 4 years' time.
Amit, so good chatting with you today. Thanks as always for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, that's the word.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.